Discovery in the Forbidden Zone, Captain. Vex Karan pressed her scaled fingers against the viewport of her salvage ship, watching the swirling orange clouds of Kepler 442b spin like a massive storm system. Her reptilian eyes, adapted for her species, desert homeworld, tracked the toxic atmospheric patterns with professional interest. The planet below had been marked as Class 15 Deathworld for over 2 centuries, the most dangerous classification in the Galactic database. "Still can't believe we're this close to that nightmare," muttered Thane from behind her. The crystalline engineer's translucent body flickered with nervous energy, casting rainbow patterns across the bridge controls. The radiation readings alone should have killed us by now. Vex's forked tongue flicked out briefly, tasting the recycled air of her ship. The long-range sensors picked up metal signatures down there, big ones. Could be the wreckage of that lost exploration fleet from 300 years ago. She turned to face her crew. That kind of salvage could set us up for life. The bridge of the rust bucket was cramped but efficient. Salvage ships weren't built for comfort. They were built to survive in the dangerous places where valuable scrap could be found. Vex had been running salvage operations in the Outer Rim for 15 years, and she'd learned that the most dangerous locations often held the greatest treasures. "Captain," called out Zik, her pilot, "I'm getting some strange readings on the atmospheric scanners." The four-armed Makari's multiple hands danced across his controls. "There's definitely artificial structures down there, but they're not showing up as wreckage." Vex moved to look over his shoulder. The atmospheric scan showed massive geometric shapes beneath the toxic cloud cover, too regular to be natural formations, too intact to be crash sites. "Active structures?" "That's the weird part," Zik replied, his insectoid features clicking with concentration. "They're not just intact, they're functioning. I'm reading power signatures, atmospheric processors, even what looks like landing platforms." "Impossible," Thane said flatly. "Nothing can survive on a Class 15 world. The atmospheric toxicity alone would dissolve most known hull materials within hours. The radiation would cook organic tissue in minutes." Vex stared at the readings. In all her years of salvage work, she'd learned to trust 2 things: her instincts and her equipment. Both were telling her something impossible was happening on the planet below. "Take us down," she ordered, "but keep the shields at maximum, and be ready to run." The rust bucket descended through the outer atmosphere, its hull groaning under the stress of the toxic environment. Warning alarms chirped continuously as the ship's systems compensated for the hostile conditions. Through the viewport, the orange clouds began to clear, revealing the surface of Kepler 442b. What they saw defied explanation. Sprawling across the planet's surface were massive industrial complexes, their gleaming metal surfaces somehow pristine, despite the toxic environment. Atmospheric processors worked steadily, their massive vents releasing controlled streams of processed gases. Most shocking of all were the ships, sleek vessels moving between the installations with casual efficiency. "By the void," whispered Zeke. "There's a whole civilization down there." "But that's impossible," Thane insisted. "The Galactic database has never recorded any species capable of surviving Class 15 conditions. The biological requirements alone—" "Captain," Zeke's voice cut through the debate. "We're being hailed. One of their ships is approaching." On the main screen, a vessel unlike anything in the Galactic registry approached them. It was angular and practical, built with an aesthetic that prioritized function over form. Most remarkably, it showed no signs of the corrosion or radiation shielding that should have been necessary to survive in this environment. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the salvage vessel Iron Phoenix," came a voice through the communication system. The universal translator worked flawlessly, but there was something about the cadence and tone that felt unfamiliar. "You're pretty far from the trade routes. What brings you to our little corner of the galaxy?" Vex exchanged glances with her crew. The casual tone was unsettling. Whoever this Elena Rodriguez was, she was treating a Class 15 Deathworld like a neighborhood. "This is Captain Vex Karan. We're salvage operators. We detected metal signatures and came to investigate. We had no idea anyone lived here." There was a pause, then what sounded like laughter. Lived here? Friend, we've been thriving here for generations. Why don't you dock with our station? I'd love to meet fellow salvagers. 20 minutes later, Vex found herself walking through the docking bay of what could only be described as a thriving spaceport. The air was clean and breathable, the gravity comfortable, and the temperature perfectly regulated. Workers moved cargo with efficient precision, and the technology, while different from Galactic standard, was clearly advanced. Elena Rodriguez was waiting for them at the docking platform. She was bipedal, roughly humanoid, with pale skin, brown hair, and bright blue eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She moved with casual confidence, completely at ease in an environment that should have been instantly lethal. "Welcome to Haven Station," Elena said, extending a hand in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "Sorry about the decontamination protocols. We're pretty careful about what comes and goes from the surface." Vex cautiously extended her own clawed hand, noting that Elena's grip was firm and warm. "You're human," she said, recognizing the species, "from the Galactic database. But humans are listed as having originated from a Class 12 world. How are you surviving here?" Elena's grin widened. "Class 12? That's generous. Earth is barely livable by Galactic standards. This place?" She gestured around them. "This is paradise compared to where we came from." "Paradise?" Thane's crystalline form flickered with disbelief. The atmospheric readings show toxicity levels that would dissolve most known materials. "The radiation is actually pretty manageable once you learn to work with it," interrupted a new voice. A man approached them, stockier than Elena, with dark hair and hands that showed the calluses of manual work. "I'm Marcus Chen, Chief Engineer. The radiation actually powers a lot of our systems once you know how to harness it." Dr. Sarah Kim joined them, a woman with kind eyes and clothes that marked her as medical personnel. "The atmospheric toxins were challenging at first, but they're actually excellent raw materials for advanced manufacturing. We've learned to process them into some of the strongest composite materials in known space." Vex felt her worldview shifting. These humans weren't just surviving on a Class 15 world, they were thriving. "How long have you been here?" "My family's been here for 6 generations, Elena replied. "We were part of the early colonial expansion, back when the Galactic community was smaller. When the Council reclassified this planet as uninhabitable, they stopped all official contact. Suited us fine. We were already too invested to leave, and honestly, we prefer the independence. But the classification was based on extensive scientific analysis," Thane protested. "The conditions here should be fatal to organic life," Marcus laughed. "Fatal is relative. Where we come from, we deal with extreme weather, predators that outweigh us by tons, diseases that can kill millions, and natural disasters that reshape continents. This place has clean air once you process it, abundant energy sources, and the most hostile thing we've encountered is some mildly acidic rain. Besides," Dr. Kim added, "humans are pretty good at adapting. When you evolve on a world where everything is trying to kill you, you get creative about survival." Elena led them on a tour of Haven Station. The technology was impressive, not just because it worked in the hostile environment, but because it worked so well. The humans had developed atmospheric processors that turned the planet's toxic gases into breathable air and industrial materials. They'd built radiation collectors that powered their entire infrastructure. Most impressively, they'd created closed-loop ecosystems that not only sustained their population but actually improved the planet's environment. "This is incredible," Vex admitted, as they watched massive machines reshaping the landscape outside. "You're not just surviving, you're terraforming." "Slowly but surely," Elena agreed. "Another few generations and this place will be garden world material, though honestly we kind of like it the way it is. Keeps the tourists away." As they continued the tour, Vex began to understand the scope of human achievement. They hadn't just adapted to the hostile world. They'd turned its worst features into advantages. The toxic atmosphere provided raw materials. The radiation powered their technology. The extreme conditions had forged them into incredibly capable engineers and survivors. "Captain," Thane said quietly as they observed a group of human children playing in what should have been a lethal environment. These readings can't be right. Those younglings are showing no signs of radiation exposure, no protective equipment. That's because they don't need it, Dr. Kim explained, having overheard. Humans adapt quickly, especially over generations. We've developed natural resistances to most of what this planet throws at us. Plus, we've learned to work with the environment, instead of against it. The tour ended in the station's common area, where dozens of humans went about their daily activities. They laughed, worked, and lived their lives in conditions that would be immediately fatal to most galactic species. Children played games while their parents discussed engineering problems and trade routes. "This is going to sound strange," Elena said as they sat down for a meal. "But you're the first galactic citizens we've seen in decades. Most people believe this world is empty." "The Council's records show it as completely uninhabitable," Vex replied. "No one would ever think to look for a civilization here." "Good," Marcus said with a grin. "We like our privacy, but we're not completely isolated. We trade with some of the Outer Rim factions, the ones who don't ask too many questions about where our goods come from. Our materials are highly sought after," Dr. Kim added. "When you can process toxins into advanced composites and convert radiation into clean energy, you develop some pretty valuable technologies." As the day continued, Vex realized she was witnessing something unprecedented. The humans hadn't just survived in an impossible environment. They'd created a thriving civilization that surpassed most galactic settlements in efficiency and innovation. They'd turned a Deathworld into a paradise through ingenuity, adaptation, and an apparently unshakable optimism. "There's something else," Elena said as evening approached. "We've been monitoring galactic communications. There are rumors that the Council is planning another survey of this sector. If they discover us, they'll want to study you," Vex finished, "and probably relocate you to a suitable world." "We're not going anywhere," Marcus said firmly. "This is our home. We built it, we earned it, and we're not giving it up because some bureaucrats think it's too dangerous." As Vex prepared to leave Haven Station, she found herself changed by what she'd witnessed. The humans had shown her that the galaxy's understanding of what was possible was far too limited. They'd proven that with enough creativity, determination, and willingness to adapt, even the most hostile environments could become homes. "Captain Rodriguez," she said before departing, "if you ever need allies, you have friends in the salvage community. What you've built here is remarkable." Elena smiled. "Thanks, Captain Corrin. And if you ever need materials that can survive anything the galaxy throws at them, you know where to find us." As the rust bucket lifted off from Haven Station, Vex looked back at the thriving human settlement on the supposedly uninhabitable world. She realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers, it was their refusal to accept that anything was impossible. Paradise found. 3 weeks after leaving Haven Station, Vex Karan found herself unable to stop, thinking about the humans and their impossible colony. The memory of children playing in toxic rain and engineers casually discussing radiation as a power source haunted her thoughts. She'd filed her salvage report as a standard, no significant findings entry, but her conscience nagged at her. "Captain," Zik called from the pilot station, "we're receiving a priority transmission. It's from Haven Station." Elena Rodriguez appeared on the main screen, her usual confident demeanor replaced by obvious concern. "Captain Corrin, we need your help. A Galactic Council survey fleet just entered our system. They're not responding to our communications, and their sensor sweeps are getting more intensive by the hour." Vex felt her stomach drop. The Council's survey fleets were notorious for their thoroughness and their inflexibility. If they discovered the human settlement, the bureaucratic response would be swift and brutal. "How long do you have?" "Maybe 18 hours before they detect our installations," Elena replied. "We can hide some of our smaller facilities, but Haven Station is too big to conceal. Once they find us, they'll classify us as an unauthorized colony on a restricted world." "Which means forced relocation," Thane added grimly. "The Council doesn't make exceptions, even for thriving settlements. Vex made her decision quickly. We're coming back. If nothing else, we can serve as character witnesses. The salvage community has some pull with the Outer Rim Council representatives. 8 hours later, the Rust Bucket dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b to find the system buzzing with activity. 3 massive Council survey ships hung in orbit, their sensor arrays working constantly. Smaller scout vessels moved between the planet and the main fleet, gathering data and samples. "This is Survey Commander Talvarin of the Galactic Council Scientific Division," came an authoritative voice over the communications channel. "Unregistered vessel. Identify yourself and state your business in this restricted system." "This is Captain Vex Coran, independent salvage operator." Vex replied carefully. "We're here on a follow-up survey of previously detected metal signatures." "Negative, Captain Coran. This system is under scientific quarantine. You will withdraw immediately, or be subject to investigation." Before Vex could respond, Elena's voice cut across the channel. "Survey Commander, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez representing the Haven Colony. We request formal recognition and diplomatic status under Article 347 of the Galactic Settlement Charter." The silence that followed was deafening. "Impossible." Commander Talvarin finally responded. "There are no authorized settlements in this system. The planet Kepler 442b is classified as Class 15 uninhabitable. Any claims of colonization are fraudulent." "With respect, Commander," Elena replied calmly. "Your classification is about 200 years out of date. We've been successfully inhabiting this world for 6 generations. We have full documentation of our settlement rights and terraforming permits." Vex watched through her viewports as the Council ships adjusted their positions, clearly preparing for either first contact protocols or enforcement action. She decided to take a risk. "Commander Talvarin, I can confirm the existence of the Haven Colony. I've personally visited their installations. They've achieved remarkable success in atmospheric processing and radiation management." "Captain Coran, you will report to the flagship immediately for debriefing," the commander ordered. "Any unauthorized contact with potentially dangerous organisms is a serious violation of safety protocols." 2 hours later, Vex found herself in the sterile conference room of the Council flagship Harmony of Spheres, facing a panel of the galaxy's most rigid bureaucrats. Commander Talvarin was a tall, thin Etherian whose translucent body showed the stress patterns of someone dealing with an unprecedented situation. "Captain Coran," he began, "your report claims to have discovered a thriving human colony on a Class 15 Deathworld. Such claims are scientifically impossible and potentially dangerous to galactic security." "Why dangerous?" Vex asked. "If organisms exist that can survive Class 15 conditions, they represent a potential threat to standard galactic environments," explained Dr. Quinsal, the fleet's chief xenobiologist. "Unknown biological adaptations could carry diseases or toxins fatal to known species." "The humans I met were friendly and peaceful," Vex protested. "They've developed incredible technologies for environmental adaptation. The galaxy could learn from them." "Unauthorized genetic modification is prohibited by Council Regulation 2847, another official noted. "Any species showing impossible biological capabilities must be studied and, if necessary, contained." The debate continued for hours, with Vexi growing increasingly frustrated by the Council's inflexibility. Finally, she played her last card. "Why don't you ask them directly?" Captain Rodriguez requested diplomatic recognition. At minimum, first contact protocols should apply. After much deliberation, the Council agreed to limited contact. A small diplomatic shuttle would visit the human settlement, with Vex serving as an intermediary. The humans would have one chance to prove they weren't a threat to galactic security. The shuttle bay of Haven Station had been prepared for formal first contact. Elena Rodriguez stood with her senior staff, while dozens of humans watched from observation galleries. The Council delegation emerged from their heavily shielded shuttle wearing full environmental suits despite the station's safe atmosphere. "I am Commander Talvarin," the lead Etherian announced through his suit's external speakers. "By authority of the Galactic Council, I am here to investigate unauthorized settlement on a restricted world." Elena stepped forward, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture. "Welcome to Haven Station, Commander. I'm Captain Elena Rodriguez, elected representative of the Haven Colony. We're honored by your visit." The commander ignored the offered hand. "Captain Rodriguez, our records show this world as uninhabitable by any known species. How do you explain your presence here?" "Simple adaptation and engineering," Elena replied. "Would you like a tour of our facilities?" What followed was the most tense diplomatic tour in galactic history. The council delegation, sealed in their protective suits, watched in disbelief as humans casually walked through environments that should have killed them instantly. Children played in areas where the radiation readings exceeded safety limits for most species. Workers handled materials that were toxic to standard galactic biology. "This is impossible," Dr. Quinsal muttered, repeatedly as they observed a group of human engineers adjusting an atmospheric processor with nothing more than basic tools and protective clothing. "It's really not that complex," explained Dr. Sarah Kim, walking alongside the delegation without any protective equipment. "Humans evolved on a world with extreme environmental challenges. We developed biological and technological solutions to survive almost anywhere." The tour reached its climax in the colony's manufacturing center, where the humans demonstrated their advanced materials processing. They showed how they converted the planet's toxic atmosphere into breathable air, radioactive minerals into clean energy, and acidic compounds into incredibly strong building materials. These technologies could revolutionize galactic industry, Commander Talvaran admitted privately to his staff. "The efficiency rates are beyond current theoretical maximums, which makes them more dangerous," Dr. Quinsal replied. "Species with these capabilities could destabilize the galactic economy or pose military threats." As the delegation prepared to return to their ship, alarms began sounding throughout Haven Station. Marcus Chen rushed to Elena's side, his face grim. "Captain, we've got a problem. The planet's core instability that we've been monitoring has reached critical levels. We're looking at a massive seismic event within the next 6 hours." "Seismic event?" Commander Talvaran asked. "The planet's crust is more unstable than your surveys indicated," Elena explained. "We've been managing it for decades, but something's triggered an acceleration. If we don't stabilize the core resonance, the resulting earthquakes will devastate half the continent." "Then you must evacuate immediately," the commander declared. "Council ships can provide emergency transport." Elena shook her head. "This is our home. We're not abandoning it. Marcus, initiate Protocol 7. Over the next 4 hours, Vex watched in amazement as the human colony executed the most audacious engineering project she'd ever witnessed. They deployed massive resonance dampeners deep into the planet's crust, using controlled detonations to redirect seismic energy, and implemented atmospheric processors to manage the volcanic gases that would be released. The council delegation, initially planning to evacuate, found themselves drawn into helping coordinate the effort. Their ship's sensors provided crucial data, while their emergency equipment supplemented human resources. "Captain Rodriguez," Commander Talvaran said as they worked together in the Crisis Command Center, "your people are attempting to stabilize an entire planet's geological structure. This is beyond the capabilities of most galactic civilizations. When your home is trying to kill you, you learn to fix whatever's broken," Elena replied, monitoring dozens of displays showing the planet-wide effort. "Besides, we've been preparing for this for generations. Every system we've built has backup plans and backup plans for the backup plans." As the crisis reached its peak, something remarkable happened. The various species working together, humans with their fearless innovation, Etherians with their precise calculations, and others with their specialized skills, achieved something none could have accomplished alone. The seismic stabilization succeeded just as the planet's core reached critical resonance. In the aftermath, as emergency systems powered down and normal operations resumed, Commander Talvaran found himself facing a changed situation. The humans had not only proven their right to inhabit their chosen world, but had demonstrated capabilities that could benefit the entire galaxy. "Captain Rodriguez," he said formally, "the Galactic Council will need time to process these events. However, I believe Haven Colony has earned the right to formal recognition." "With full settlement rights and trade privileges?" Elena asked. "I'll recommend full integration into the galactic community," the commander replied. Your technologies and adaptability could benefit many worlds, though I suspect you'll continue to prefer your independence. Elena smiled. We like being part of something bigger, but we also like doing things our own way. I think we can find a balance. As the Council fleet prepared to depart, Vex found herself staying behind at Elena's invitation. The humans had offered her crew exclusive trading rights for their advanced materials, recognizing her role in preventing a disaster. You know, Elena said, as they watched the Council ships disappear into hyperspace. We've been isolated for so long, we forgot how good it feels to have allies. The galaxy's a big place, Vex replied, but it's getting smaller every day. What matters is finding people you can trust when things get difficult. Marcus Chen joined them at the observation deck, grinning widely. So what's next? We've got official recognition, new trading partners, and a planet that's more stable than it's been in centuries. Next, Elena said, we show the galaxy what humans can really do when we put our minds to it. But first, I think we owe Captain Corin and her crew a proper welcome party. It's not every day we make friends who are willing to stick around when things get dangerous. As celebrations began throughout Haven Station, Vex realized she'd witnessed something historic. The humans hadn't just survived on their impossible world. They'd created a new model for galactic civilization. They'd proven that with enough determination, creativity, and willingness to adapt, any challenge could become an opportunity. The galaxy would never be quite the same.